So today I'm gonna use the iPad. I'm not gonna take care of the Mac. I'm using the iPad because I'm using Swift Playgrounds. I'm also using the Apple Books app in the iPad. And inside the Apple Books app, I'm using the book called Everyone Can Code, Puzzles Teacher Guide. You can also find this book for students, but we're gonna be using the one for the teachers. Okay, I'm also gonna be using the Swift Playgrounds application. And inside the Swift Playgrounds, I'm gonna be using the Learn to Code 2 playground. I'm gonna be using the other playgrounds such as the spirals, the one that is called Answers, and a blank playground. Okay, this book that is called Everyone Can Code has this very singular spiral cycle where you're gonna find learn. It is learn, try, apply, and connect. Those are the steps in each chapter, okay? So every time we see a page that is for learning, it's gonna be blue, green. And if you are gonna use, sorry. Okay, if you're gonna try is the dark blue, if you're gonna apply is the baby blue, and if you're gonna connect is the red one, okay? Now, inside the chapter 4, which is called variables, it doesn't mention the constants, but I mentioned. In this one, the first activity that we have for learn, I don't know why it is closing so much. In the learn section, the activity is called the news bot, okay? And in the news bot, what I asked students is to create a bot that is gonna give news, and I'm gonna show you one news, and I'm gonna see if one of you can read this. Oh no, no, I'm gonna read it for you, and this news says, for example, the Manchester United will play versus the Liverpool this Saturday at 4 p.m. The match was moved to Budapest as a result of coronavirus restrictions. Now, this news has to be reset and used with different variables. So I want to see if someone else can read it with different teams or with different days and different time. I'm sorry, it keeps, I wonder if I go into okay, Safari. Okay, if somebody else can open the microphone and tell us this same news with different variables for us, please. If you can read it, because it's closing. Okay.
Like Tigres will play against Rayados this Saturday at 9 p.m.
Thank you. Now, this is a way for us to understand that each of those is gonna be a variable. Team 1 would be the first team that plays. The team 2 would be the second team. The weekday would be the day when they play, and the match time, it's gonna be the time. In here, we can explain to our students the camel case. What is that? It is that inside the variable, the name has to be very clear. And then the name can have 2 words, and the second word is going to be capitalized. Okay? So we have 4 variables. For variable 1 is team 1, variable 2 is team 2, variable 3 is weekday, and the variable 4 is match time. The names of the variables have to be very clear, and each variable has a specific job. Okay? And we can see that a variable is like a container of information. And each variable has some value and a name. The name is team 1 and the value is Tigres. Okay, so those are the components of a variable, the name and the value. Okay, if we continue looking at the book, we see that the next is going to be the section called try. In the try section, we have 3 activities. The learn to code activity, we're gonna see the introduction inside the variables chapter and 1 puzzle. Then we're gonna open the spirals and then we're gonna open the answers playground. So now I'm going to close the presentation. Okay, I was saying that inside the try section, in the try section, we go into the introduction. Were you listening to this? I said that in this case, the value, the name of the variable is age. Yes. And in that case, the variable is an integer. Okay. And we know that it is an integer because we declare the variable age to be 18. But if we try to change the value for a text, it will not be possible because 21 is between quotations, which means that is text, and it will not be accepted because we originally declared the variable as an integer. Okay, so once we go through this information, we can start coding, and I'm gonna go to only one puzzle. I'm not gonna be into puzzles, only this one. And in the instructions, we can see that we have to enter, in the instructions, they tell us to enter the value 0 to initialize our variable. Now, we can see here that we have the name of the variable and it has the value. It is another way to, again, review that the variable has a name and a value. Now, after we have set up and initialized our variable, we know that the best thing is to enter a cycle 4. So for I in 1 through 5, we're gonna move forward. So let's find that command. We move forward and we're going, as we look through the pattern in this, hopper needs to move forward and collect the gem 5 times. So we're gonna collect the gem, and let's find that. And the important thing that comes in the instructions is that the gem counter has to change the value each time a gem is collected. Now, the gem counter is gonna be gem counter plus 1. Now, the work in this puzzle will be a gem counter. Only in this one is the job of the variable. It is going to be a counter, and we're gonna see different ways in which we can use variables. I'm gonna run this fastest. Okay, now we've seen how a variable has to be declared. The variable has a name. The variable has a value, okay? And the job in this case was that the variable is a gem counter, okay? In the news that we saw before, we saw that the job was that it could be, the variable was to create a news. In this case, it is a counter. Now, I'm gonna close this Swift playground, and I'm gonna enter into the spirals, which is the second activity shown in the try section for this chapter. Now, in this play, we have 6 pages. It is the overview 2, 4, 5 playground. Now, in here, we can go through these different variables. We can ask students, what variables can you find in this coding? Okay, and of course they're gonna tell us that they can see or we can help them to understand that spoke length is one variable and what it does. And another variable would be the track radius. Another one is the wheel radius. We can also change colors because a variable can also be a color. A variable can be an image, okay? It's not only text. It is not only a number or a decimal. It can also be colors or pictures, okay? Now, you can also ask students to identify the command, which in this case, the command is draw spiral. You can ask them to play and change the value of the variables because that is the purpose of this playground. How does the value in the playground, how does the value change the output drawing? If you change the variables, if you change the values in the variables, it is going to be a totally different piece of art. So we have seen the different jobs of the variable because it has worked as a gem counter in Learn to Code 1. And in here, they are helping us to create a piece of art. And the way you change the variable, the values, is the way the drawing will come out, okay? Now, the third activity that comes in the book is telling us to go into this playground that is called, I'm gonna create a new one. I'm gonna create a new page here. Okay, and we're gonna see a different way, okay, for a variable to work. This is our blank playground from Answers Playground. And for example, let's see, we're gonna show, and this is a way for us to repeat. We're gonna show, if you see the option at the bottom, it is the show string. Why? Because a string is the type of variable that we need. It is the type of text. So we're gonna select ABC because it is a string, what we need. And we're play how are you? Okay, and then we're going to include a constant. In this case, let age equal, and then we're gonna ask for a number that is gonna be a placeholder. We're gonna ask for a number, and okay, after we have this constant, the constant is going to be the number that you submit when you run the code. Now, we're gonna enter a variable. We are declaring again. Please, let's check again. A variable has a name and the value, okay? In this case, our variable that we're going to declare is going to be named, one is 2022. Okay, now let's have and I know that it's going to be age plus 1. Okay, age plus 1. In there, it's telling us that we need an integer. Okay, and after we declare the variable, we're going to show a string again. I go and look for show a string, and we're going to change it for ABC, which is a string, and let's replace it with next year, comma, you will be, okay, and now we need to show the variable that is called age 2022. Okay, so let's look for show, and now we're gonna show, actually it is gonna be a number, okay? But I'm gonna replace it for an integer, which is age 2022. I just selected 2022. Now I'm gonna run this program, Now, how old are you? I'm gonna lie here, 26. Next year, you will be 27. In this coding, we have, again, the opportunity to check that the variable is working as, well, it's a constant that is called age. The variable that it is working as to help us declare the age for next year, okay? Now that we have finished with these three activities that come in the try section in the book, the next one is telling us to go back to spirals. And in the spirals playground, what the book is telling us that everyone can code the pulse. They are telling us that we have to tell our students that they have to apply the knowledge. And in the apply section, we have to tell our students, now you're gonna be like working for a company, and this video game company is telling you that you need to create a drawing that is gonna be their logo or a drawing for something else. And when you finish creating that drawing in the spirals playground, you're gonna finish your drawing, and then you're gonna click the three little points, and then you're going to click in take a picture. And once you have the picture of your spiral, you take it into I don't know, like a sketches school. It could be there in the sketches school application. And then you can, of course, change the background and add some kind of design until you finish with your job, your assignment for this company, the video game company. After you finish with the students, well, you can tell them that it is important to talk about the copyright and that when you use the designs from somebody else or pictures taken by somebody else, that you need to give them credit. So it's like a little parenthesis that you can do in this class, okay? That when you have your own work, it belongs to your property, to your intellectual property. But if you use somebody else's, then you have to give them credit. So it's kind of a small digital citizenship class. Now, once we have finished with the apply section in the book, the fourth section tells us to go and I don't know if I should. It's telling us to go. Okay, now I can see that the problem was my other Wi-Fi, right? Because now it is showing. Okay. No, it's all black. Okay, this is the connect section. It is the last section for this chapter. And in this part of the book, it is like when I remember I used to teach social studies in 5th grade. And the last part of the chapter, they would tell you to go and make a connection to the real world. And it is the same thing here. They are telling us to make a biographical poster for people who are really important and who left. They did a lot for the computer science world and programming or technology. So in this activity, we should have to find, for example, the variables that would go with each of these people. And it could be like the name, the birth date, the quote, a quote that is important, or the impact that they did in the world. And since we don't have right now, we don't have the opportunity to go and place the posters in our bulletin boards. So I have this idea to create this like a virtual reality computer science museum where you can ask students to collaborate in this project and see how each person, this Grace Hopper is very important. I think the Hopper is was taken to be in the, you know, the characters for Swiss. So it would be the name, the birthday, the quote for each of these important heroes in the computer science history. Okay, so that's a way to do it in a virtual environment, because there is no chance to place these posters on our walls. So now that we have finished with the spirals, with the spiral cycle of learn, try, apply, and connect. And I know that the time is almost done, right? But I want to show you, this is another one that I did. Okay, this is another one that I did for New Year's with the answers playground. And we also had a chance to learn again about constants. This is another one for Valentine's, and I'm just gonna finish with this short video for our students did, where we again practice the strings and mainly the strings variables. Okay, let me click in play. I can't. Well, I don't know why I cannot play the video, but okay, here. But it is like this one right here. If you can see, we were able to show strings, like show Valentine's Day, that is a string. Show each year in February, that's another string. And it is another way. In here, the ask for choice, the images, is another way to practice that an image is also a variable, okay? And our students love to share their poems, like, what is your favorite Valentine's quote? And the students were entering the quotes. And of course, they are strings, variables. And I don't know if you have any questions, because I know that we're done with the time. I'm gonna stop this presentation and see if you have any comments. And I'm sorry, because I think the problem at the beginning was my Wi-Fi. Thank you everybody for being here today.